We are planning on checking out as much eating at Universal Orlando as we possibly can on our 2 upcoming trips.
So Jon Self is here to advise us on our choices.
This is episode 515 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. It is me, Lee. I am here with Tracy.
Hello.
It is still the 4th of July when we're recording this, so we have still cast out Chris and Michelle. They're not here anymore, but we've replaced them with another American, so it doesn't really work that way. But someone you have heard, he hasn't been on since I talked to Matthew West.
Wow.
About his performance at Rock the Universe this year, and that is our good friend and food blogger for piratesandprincesses.net, and that is Jon Self. Hey, Jon.
Hello, Lee and Tracy. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, all right. Hungry.
I'm sitting here as we're recording. It's daytime in my world and 4th of July, and the fireworks have not started. But, you know.
So Jon kind of approached me and went, I think it could be a good idea if you invited me on your show to talk and kind of plan your eating for when you come to Universal Orlando. So Jon, this is where we're coming at from this. Tracy and I have been talking quite a lot over the last 6 months of how many places we actually haven't eaten at Universal Orlando.
It's a little embarrassing.
Because it's too easy. I mean, as a food blogger, it's different for you because you have to go to different places. But I know from a lot of our listeners, it's too easy to just go to your comfort places, the places you know that are good. So you'll go to a fast food boulevard because you know there's plenty of options, you know the food there's good, and you know it's relatively cheap, rather than go, right, I'm going to go to Louis or a Finnegan's or somewhere else because I'm not sure what it's going to be like, but do I want to risk it not being as good as those places that I love? And we've realised that coming off this trip that we want to branch out a little bit more and try some places that we haven't done, but also go back to some places we haven't been at for quite a while as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracy and I have come up with 12 places that we... Look, trust me, there's many, many more, but this is just to tone this episode down to try and keep it within our time limit. We've picked 12 places together, like six each.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of a crossover.
So there are actually 12.
We've got 10, but 2 of them we kind of
were fighting because he didn't let me have one.
You couldn't have it. And Jon, you are on as a food blogger to kind of give us some suggestions and some hints and tips from the places that we're eating at and
stop us fighting.
Share your knowledge. There'll be no fighting.
There will be.
Well, be careful. In my real vocation, I do marriage counseling. So let's be careful here.
You might get a call after the show.
Okay, that's fine. You can message me. It's perfectly fine. I only do theme park food blogging part-time.
Right. So the first one on my list is somewhere I've been wanting to go since it opened, and we still haven't been, and that is Hot Dog Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I am desperate to go there. I need that 2-foot-long dog. Desperate.
Well, this leads to the first question as I grab my notes here. Because obviously it's 4th of July. Obviously, I had to write a couple of obligatory blogs about, in the U.S., the largest amount of hot dogs are eaten on 4th of July every year. But there's one major dilemma, and I want to make sure you're aware of this because sometimes people forget. The UK version of a hot dog and the US version of a hot dog are very different.
That's probably a good thing.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what I need to know, because this is one of those things that divide people. They either really want the US version or they really want the UK version.
Right, so I will step in and say that one of our favourite places to eat at Universal used to be the Nathan's hot dog stand at the exit to the Jaws ride.
We're fine. That's all I need to know.
Oh, that's our stuff is basically extruded pig paste that's boiled and is vile.
I mean, just conjure that image.
You're underselling it a little bit, but I get your point.
Yeah, and full of spices that just give me heartburn, which is why I avoid hot dogs, and probably why we haven't been here, because that's what's in my head.
Right. You made this easy because you already said, Lee, the 2-foot hot dog, which if you are willing to go with kind of this, I don't want to make it undersell it. If you're willing to go with the standard US version of a hot dog, now granted, as Hot Dog Hall of Fame will tell you, if any of you are not familiar with Hot Dog Hall of Fame is built on the same people who created the concept of Rainforest Cafe.
Okay.
All right.
Created the background of Hot Dog Hall of Fame with the baseball seating and all the Major League Baseball sting. So you have different hot dogs in different areas. And just like most of the U.S., depending on where you are, it's very different. And so it depends on what, but if you're looking for just the conglomeration of what the average hot dog is in the U.S., the 2 foot long hot dog is an excellent value. What is it? I need to look at my notes quickly. $17.99 for the 2 foot long. And that is with the combo. Yes, that's the combo. And that does come with fries.
Okay. That's not bad at all.
Insider tip, probably the best side value in Universal Orlando is the fries at Hot Dog Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Are they very good? No, they're not really very good. Okay. But they cost $1.
Wow.
To add on.
Okay.
Rude not to.
Right. And that's kind of been my thought. I always get them. And it's not a huge portion. It's kind of like our US version of the small fry at McDonald's.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with what it is in your country, what the size is, but it's about the same size fries and probably the same quality of fries, actually.
Okay. That's good to know.
But it's $1 more. Whereas you could get the exact same order at Bread Box and order fries, and it's $3.
Yeah. And I guess having that small order of fries as well, if you've got a 2 foot long dog, that it's just enough just to like break up that immense flavor just of hot dog. Have a few fries every now and again, and
correct.
It's not
now
as
they're going
overwhelming.
to try. They're going to try to, if they do their job correctly. You can mobile order a Hot Dog Hall of Fame, but if they do their job correctly, they're going to try to upsell you for more toppings. It's usually $1 or so. I generally, if you're going to go with the 2 foot long hot dog, I generally recommend people don't do that because they already have the mustard bar that's returned, which is, and you've committed to a 2 foot long hot dog. Why add more to it?
That's true.
I mean, that's not what I would normally say as someone who, consumed 32 donuts, on the last trip in one setting. So, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't add things if you don't need to.
Yeah.
No. And I mean, one of the biggest issues with our family, and probably the biggest reason we haven't been so far, is
not
that
me.
You a little bit, the vegetarian, because they do a vegetarian dog there.
I'm ready for that one in the Field hot dog. That's a brand here in the U.S. My vegan friends say is pretty good.
Okay.
They don't say
that's
it's
good to know.
great, but they say it's pretty good. And once again, for your person in question, they're vegetarian, not vegan, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean I'm a stickler, and Lee's aware of that. I've messaged him a couple times about things. He's aware that you got to always make that distinction between these two things.
I agree.
But the fries, of course, I'm not going to guarantee are vegan, but of course they're vegetarian, so I'm not going to be concerned about that.
Yeah.
So I know one of the questions we asked Seth when we were talking about going before, John, was so obviously the different hot dogs at Hot Dog Hall of Fame are based on the baseball grounds that they're from. Can you substitute that hot dog for a vegetarian hot dog? Just get any of those, but just substitute the dog out. Is that something you can do?
I know, sorry, this is going to be an answer I'm going to give a lot.
I know
you used to be able to do this before the virus times.
Okay.
It was always kind of a hassle, but we didn't have mobile ordering then. So, but I know I've had several people who have done I guess my son might have tried it one time because he's famous for ordering like black bean burgers with bacon on them. He's one of those people. Okay.
That's me. That's me. I will have the plant-based burger.
But I believe you can substitute, and I just wanted to double check because this is a general rule. Based on the pricing is the same. So I can't imagine that would be a problem.
Yeah. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I mean, we've talked about it before with vegetarian because it's our daughter's vegetarian. And she always complains that when you get a burger, like you'll go to a restaurant and it'll have 12 burgers on it. And then one veggie burger, and the veggie burgers are very, like, it's this. And she's like, but I want that just with the veggie burger on. Which most places do. People are just scared to ask, especially us British.
We do.
And then when my child was that age doing the famous black bean burger with bacon and everything else, it ended up costing us the price of the vegan burger, which was basically the same as the bacon burger, and then we'd have to add toppings. It would be like $7 more US for the same thing. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then I haven't had that problem since suddenly I had a typewriter in front of me to write this stuff. So I don't know.
Okay.
No one does that. No one does that to me anymore.
No.
And my first one was Bend the Bow.
To be fair, I'm looking forward to Ben. It was not one of my top 6, but I cannot wait.
I'm just all over Bow. So
Yeah, I'm well, I obviously have the list, which is why I'm grabbing my notes so people can't see. Somebody apparently is very attracted to the bao buns, and based on their list, Bend the Bao. You know that you have a whole promotion with Bend the Bao.
Yes.
I even sent Lee a cheeky message about, can I be bourgeoisie?
Yes, you did.
And be 1% about we'll get to that later. We'll get to that restaurant.
Oh yes.
But about cheeky, can I be a 1%er? Yes, Michelle, I'm calling you out. being a 1%er about how I would get my bao buns. But Bend the Bao. Here's another phrase. I need to go back to Hot Dog Hall of Fame. I forgot one important thing.
okay.
If you're going to go to Hot Dog Hall of Fame and some of these other restaurants, go during daytime hours.
Okay.
Do not go at night.
Okay.
I cannot emphasize that enough. The quality drops significantly. I have an example from last night. Of 2 people ordering basically the same thing. Now it's July 3rd. It was busy. I get all those things. But they ordered the same exact thing. One of them ordered it at 1 o'clock from Hot Dog Hall of Fame. One of them ordered it for like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I want to say this with all due respect to my friends at Universal. One of them was a really high quality hot dog meal, and one of them was below the equivalent of a Costco hot dog here in our country.
Okay.
And so that's a trend I've noticed in gathering more guest reviews, because I try not to write about stuff that what I've eaten. I want to get 4 or 5 other sources from other people.
Yeah, that's great.
So because I like it, you may hate it. Why do you hate it? One of the recurring trends we're seeing with Universal Food at the moment is the later the day goes, the lower the quality of food, which reminded me of Bend the Bao.
Okay.
So you're getting the same advice about Bend the Bao in this one.
Are you finding that it's mostly the quick service places or the restaurants as well, John?
The biggest offender, which is what started this, was Finnegan's.
Really?
Really?
Because I didn't realize it because I missed it. I wrote some glowing reviews of some items in Finnegan's. I've probably reviewed 8 things for Pirates and Princesses at Finnegan's. But then I realized I'm a spoiled bourgeoisie food blogger who eats at lunchtime because he's taking a break. Now, I'm not going on Friday night at 7:30.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, let me say this with all due respect. If I'm going to eat at 7:30 at Friday night at Universal, I made reservations at Tucson or Big Fire or Antiheroes.
Okay.
I didn't eat in the park.
Yep.
And what we're seeing from people I greatly respect, and I would name them, but there are other podcasts, so that's a gray area.
Let's leave them.
Right. I want to be respectful. And they're like, oh, the food was terrible. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I had it like a week ago, same thing during the day, and it was one of the best meals I've ever had at Universal.
I mean, look, we've talked about it on this show before. We went to Cowfish. Our first visit to Cowfish is legendary. It was horrendous.
I don't think there was anything that could have gone wrong. Anything else that could have gone wrong, I mean.
We went back when we came over in 2020. And honestly, Tracy and I, that's probably our second or third favourite restaurant on City Walk at this point.
Probably my favourite, actually.
Really? What, even over Big Fire?
Well,
spoiler, there's some tangible evidence that it might be her favorite.
I mean, there probably is, to be fair. But yeah, Bend the Bao, when it opened, we're huge fans of bao buns as it is, and the options seem to be really good. And the only thing I hear that's kind of a little bit negative about it is the size of the baos and the price.
Both of those are 100% accurate. Those are very complete, valid criticisms. This area is kind of cursed. It was the sushi place before, and it didn't do well. Unless you were an insider, you didn't go there very often. And Bend the Bao, even though the pricing's not so bad, we'll get to another option here in a moment. There's lots of reports of inconsistency in the quality of preparation.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to go to Bend the Bao, and I know I'm trying to be careful because people are going to be actually sending you reviews of them going to Bend the Bao.
Yes.
so I'm skewing your entire audience. But the standard things to get are the crab cake one, unless you are a person who is familiar with the way crab cakes are really made here in the U.S. If you've grown up in the Chesapeake Bay area or Maryland or any of that area, stay away from these crab cakes.
I do not touch any crab.
Right. There's different discussion, but but those tend to go really well. The kimchi fried chicken, it's called kimchi FC, which is very confusing to me when they call it FC. But okay. Sorry. Even I go, what? That's not right. That one is reviewed really, really well.
Yes.
And the veggie one has reviewed very well. The main criticism I've heard was, and I can't believe this, and I've heard it a couple times, it tastes too much like veggies.
What?
I'm like, hold on. It's in the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like my usual analogy I use. Sorry, it's maybe not be appropriate for your podcast. That's like asking me, a minister here in the U.S., hey, do you think Jesus was a good guy? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, something about a resurrection. I mean, these are important things. It's too veggie. So the rest of them have been reviewed mostly good, but nothing spectacular.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the standard criticism is the price point's high and the portion size is small.
Say, are the bao buns made on site? Do we know, or are they bought in? Because
I would assume they'll be made on site.
Because I have made that dough, I have made bao, and I appreciate that price.
I think what you've got to look at, John, specifically with that is you're in a theme park at the end of the day, and the two things that you usually have to expect is small portions, big price. It's a theme park staple.
Well, let me rephrase this perspective because that's a valid point. Based on places that if you had to, I would not recommend you do this, but if you had to walk off a Universal property to a restaurant, which, I mean, there are ways to do that. We can cover that another time if you want to. You can find a bao bun place.
Yes.
That's not exactly it might be within walking distance for a lot of people. I'm not going that far.
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And the bao buns cost half as much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Once you get off onto our drive around that, anywhere around that area or off down.
Whereas we're going to get to a bunch of your other restaurants and the price difference is going to be 20%, 25%.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I mentioned that. That's the perspective I'm using.
Okay. I definitely want to look. We've said it before again on the show. Our experiences, like you said, John, that you want other people's perspectives, and when we review a restaurant on here, which we have many times, we will always put it with the caveat of like, look, this was just our experience. Just because we've had a fantastic time doesn't mean you're going to go and have the same experience.
Right.
Just because we've had a terrible time doesn't mean you're not going to go and love it. This is just, in a nutshell, like under a microscope, this is what happened to us. Because we had a terrible time, that does not mean don't go and try it.
But we are proof that it changes because Cowfish.
Exactly.
It was literally the worst experience ever to the best experience ever. So
and this is why I write the words very often. I feel like I make it a hotkey on my keyboard of some guests say, most guests say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's what it is. And you have to be realistic perspective. Like something we forgot to mention, we'll get back to. And one of your trips, you're going to be there during Passholder Appreciation Days.
Yes.
One of the key aspects of Passholder Appreciation Days is the food exclusive to pass holders.
Yes.
So that may change some of these plans because many of these places you have in mind offered pass holder food last year.
Yes, one of them very specifically that was on both of our lists, but we'll get to that.
Well, that's okay because my
shameless plug. I will be there the first week that pass holder food is out. So
nice.
So I will be updating that about as quickly as possible.
We'll be reading that. See, the thing about the kimchi FC especially is I should have been to Korea by now. Yeah. So I don't have that comparison.
That's not a bad thing.
I forgot that. I forgot your obsession's not the right word.
No, it is exactly the right word. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I was looking for something just below obsession.
No, I don't
think that's even strong enough.
Okay, that's fair. I'll back away then. I was being too pastoral. I'll be quiet.
So moving on to my next one, and this is one out of all the restaurants on City Walk, the sit-downs, this is the only one. There's a couple we haven't done. This is the only one that I am Like Chris shouts at me all the time
Yes,
that we
he does.
have not been to Vivo Italian Kitchen yet.
It's not my doing.
And you know what? He's right. Yes, Chris, I said you were right about something. I just want to make that clear.
Don't give
Because
him.
Lee is
Don't
aware.
tell him.
I'm one of those annoying listeners who says, "Hey guys, I know you said this, but
Yep.
I'm one of those people."
Yeah, I know.
I'll own that. I'm one of those people because I go on podcasts and say, "Hey, this is your chance to tweet at me and say, well, that's great."
But yeah, I mean, if our experience of any of the new restaurants at City Walk is anything to go by, then Vivo will be just as good.
Yes, let me say this because I do write. I have added several writing contracts with sites connected to the mouse. And I've done several other podcasts and other things where we compare directly Vivo to comparable places in Lake Buena Vista.
Okay.
And Vivo wins amazingly, and no one in the group disagrees. Vivo is your better choice. Now, remember, I come to food with a built-in bias. And maybe that's because I work in a vocation that's, well, with some exceptions, but that's a different issue, where you don't get in this profession to make a whole bunch of money. You're supposedly doing something for eternal significance, supposedly. And so I remember going to Universal and, spending 50 days a year at Universal on my salary. And people are like, how do you do that? Because I'm willing to take a little lower quality food for less money.
Yes.
But I'm not willing to take a lot less. When you compare Vivo to anything except for Topolino's Terrace, which is not really Italian food, but Vivo is equal in quality to anything over there in Lake Buena Vista.
Okay.
And the price point is much lower.
Yeah, but to
much lower.
Like our experts, we haven't been to Disney properly for quite a while, but I know from when we did how expensive it was compared to Universal.
Well, that's not as glowingly different as it was before. Universal's been very clever about, hey, everyone's complaining that Disney's raised their prices, so Universal raises their prices about the same amount.
Yeah.
They just wait a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That's gonna come up when we get to the hotel restaurants.
For definite. I think one of the biggest things about Vivo, the big selling point is their pasta made fresh there. That's what Chris talks about all the time. It's that pasta that is made fresh.
Look at Chris. I should get him a job. That is absolutely correct.
Fresh pasta.
That is you literally, and I say this all the time, and it's probably culturally insensitive, but you walk into Vivo and you assume that a whole bunch of Italian grandmothers are back there making pasta.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, Vivo, if we could get it out of its place right in the middle of City Walk and could move it up on the hill or could move it to closer to the resorts, you could create a very upscale dining environment with this food. You're not going to create the Palm. You're not going to create Bice.
Yeah.
But you're going to create something that if they start, I know Universal listens, so I'll be careful I say this. If they raise their prices significantly, it would still be worth it. Now, based on its current location, it loses some of that, even though my spouse specifically told me that she wanted to go to Vivo on the next trip.
Okay.
And it's important to do what your spouse says, but
yes.
Are you listening?
Yeah, I am listening. By the way, Universal, John does not speak for us. We do not want you to raise the prices, by the way. We're quite happy with where they are right now.
Yeah.
Most of the time, other people pay for my food, so I can say those kind of things.
Exactly. Yeah, because it doesn't affect you.
With Vivo, if I were going to go to Vivo, for you two are going to go, I'm assuming the kids are going. I don't know which.
Yeah, we might feed them.
I think Vivo will probably be a November trip for us, a romantic meal.
Ew.
Okay.
Oh, shut up.
Then the standard recommendations on what they call the starters would be the fried ricotta.
Okay.
It's about $10. It is vegan, but it's I've never heard say anything bad about it. They also have an antipasto, the calamari, and the meatballs. I
love calamari.
Universal has done a really good job with calamari. I don't eat calamari, but I have 3 people I go to on calamari, and they've had every single calamari on site numerous times. And Vivo does a really good job with it.
Ooh, I'm new to calamari, so
I love it. It's the squid ink pasta I hear a lot about as well.
I didn't want to skip over this, but the wood stove pizzas at Vivo are the same wood stove ovens that are used for red oven pizza, except better quality of ingredients.
I love red oven pizza.
When you go into there and I don't know how I missed this. I'll give Derek Bergen credit. It was kind of obvious. When you go there, you see red oven turned towards a certain direction and Vivo turned a certain direction. There's ovens back there that they both use.
So they're backed onto each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's the same phenomenon. Those of you familiar with Disney with 50s Primetime and Sci-Fi Diner, it's the same setup.
Oh, okay.
Where they back things up. But yeah, the squid ink pasta is good. Anything really in the pasta genre at Vivo is going to be, on a scale of 1 to 10, is going to be at least an 8.
Nice.
At least.
I am excited.
I mean, I've circled lasagna, the sausage ragu, the vegan sausage pasta, the chicken ravioli, the squid ink seafood, which sounds disgusting, but it tastes wonderful. The lamb ragu. I can't speak English. Lamb ragu and just the standard ravioli.
I mean, you haven't mentioned anything yet that I'm not like, I'm going to struggle to actually pick one of these things. Yeah.
Yes, this is why I get accused of how come in your reviews you only do one food item at a time? Well, sometimes you can only eat one thing at a time, and you want to stretch that and enjoy it for what it's worth. But the problem is, I get to go more often than you do. This is the problem.
So here's an idea for Universal. So places like NBC do a beer flight. Can we have like a pasta flight?
They should do like a tasting selection.
Sorry, since I've already been offensive, and we'll probably get messages from church members for this comment. That would take a lot more Italian grandmothers for that.
Well, it'll give them something to do.
I think being a grandma in 2022 is difficult enough. So we'll on this one. But we can cover some things at the end if we have time. There's a couple things that Universal has experimented with that relate to that.
Okay. We have our first crossover. This is Amatista Cookhouse, which is at Sapphire Falls.
So because we're staying at Sapphire Falls when we come over in November for how many nights were there? 3, I think. It was like Amatista it had to be on the list.
From the second that opened and I saw that menu, I was like, I'm going. And I still haven't been.
But I seem to remember sending Hunter there when it first opened, and he wasn't. I think they had a lot of teething troubles when Amatista first opened.
Yes. Let's go through my standard comment about Amatista, and it applies to every single resort hotel restaurant. Universal is hideous about updating the menu they're actually using to the one you find online.
Okay.
They are hideous about it. And then I double-checked it today, and I even found a glitch, which, of course, Universal and I can fight about this for another month, like we fought about the menu at some rooftop bar. Amatista has a lunch menu and a dinner menu, and the lunch menu is scaled back.
Of course.
But there's different pricing for certain items on the lunch menu and the dinner menu. And sometimes the dinner menu is less expensive than the lunch menu. I know that can't be true.
That's
I
weird.
know that's not possible.
Yeah.
And so I double-checked that today and messaged them, and I haven't heard back. But I'm not blaming them. It's really busy at the park, and it's 4th of July, so I'm not being critical of that this time. Sometimes I really am critical. They don't message me back for a couple days. But are you looking at going for breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, quite possibly, yes.
Shameless plug that we can save time on the podcast. I did a full review of the breakfast buffet not that long ago.
It's a breakfast buffet.
And so on Pirates and Princesses, that's shouldn't be hard to find if you Google it.
Okay.
It should be pretty easy. I have nothing outstanding to say one way or the other.
Okay.
Probably the biggest thing was I was doing like a breakfast buffet tour of the area, and I did several breakfast buffets off-site. So there's a lot of comparisons that I did.
Yeah.
And also will be interesting. I'll probably write something after my August trip because I have reservations at Ohana for breakfast buffet there.
Well, we did Ohana
at Disney.
We did Ohana for the buffet breakfast. I mean, it was a long time ago. It was like 2000.
We didn't have a buffet breakfast.
2009.
Ohana.
It was done family style,
sorry.
wasn't it? It was family style, wasn't it? It's not like, but we weren't impressed.
Well, I can't do family style for a start because I have issues.
Currently Ohana's breakfast buffet is less than Amatista's.
Okay.
Amatista's is currently 27.
Wow.
Ohana's $25. It's not really that big a deal, but I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah.
But does Ohana still have Stitch?
Probably. I don't think
Stitch is not back. That's why it's 25. When the characters come back, it'll be 50.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say that out loud angrily? I think I just lost one of my writing contracts.
Is that
Disney.
true?
Okay,
so there's no characters at Ohana's at the moment?
There's no characters currently at Ohana. Disney is returning to normal a lot slower than Universal.
Yes, very much so.
But $50?
I'm exaggerating. It's probably going to be 40.
Even so, it's still, Disney.
Because I remember being very, very rushed to eat because...
That's the standard Ohana.
We were not impressed with it.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to go with this. Amatista, they're not going to rush you.
Yeah, that's good. Because I can eat a lot and I like to take my time.
And I also want to point out that I don't think their online menu is updated, which is fairly common at Universal.
Yes.
Because I have several menu items that I know existed and I've gotten messages from, spoiler alert, gotten messages from people who messaged you recently about the items there. And really, if you're going to take a vegan or a vegetarian at a sit-down restaurant, go to Amatista.
Okay.
There is enough menu items that I have heard from people who I trust as, sorry, I will get in trouble and they can message me and tell me I shouldn't have said this, but people who are rigid, strict about their vegan diet.
Yeah.
And they expect everyone else to understand they're being strict and rigid about their vegan diet because it's important to them. And I want to respect that. As Mr. Religious Freedom in my life, I want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Amatista accommodates that immensely. I'm also hearing that why am I blanking? Strong Water Tavern does a really good job also of that.
Tracy and I have very differing opinions on the food at Strongwater Tavern because I had the sliders when we went in February and I really enjoyed them.
And
Tracy
I had the
I was going to say, you probably liked them, didn't you?
Tracy had the chicken fingers. She said they were awful.
It was like something had come out the cat litter.
It was nasty. I could have called that one. And that one's easy.
I never leave food. I didn't touch them. I went and got another cocktail.
The sliders were really good. I really enjoyed them.
Glad you have.
But if I were going to go to Amatista for you guys, I would explore the flatbreads.
Okay, I do like a flatbread.
Like any bread.
Yeah.
I would explore their appetizer menu is pretty good.
Okay.
But you also got to remember that Universal is trying to juggle that Caribbean, a little bit of spice phenomenon. I know you guys are sometimes vulnerable to that.
Yes.
Love a bit of spice.
And so, but they also, I have heard wonderful things from people about their sandwiches.
Okay. Does Brits do like a sandwich?
I'm going through my notes here.
I fell in love with Sapphire Falls when we stayed there. Just the ambience of the hotel is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous.
And I have gotten really good reports about what they call the jerk pot pie, which is Jamaican spiced chicken in kind of pot pie format.
Like jerk chicken.
Good.
I've not seen a menu. I messaged somebody today for a current menu at Amatista, but it says online it's $16.
Okay.
And for a sit-down restaurant of that quality with your 10% annual pass discount, assuming you have that level, I assume you do. I have
the preferred pass, so I think I get 50.
Then you should get you'll only probably get 10% at the hotels.
Okay.
That's really a good deal.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So.
Okay.
And only fair warning, because sometimes you never know when you're coming back, especially if it's a family trip. The menu between 3 and 5, really between 2 and 5 at Amatista is very scaled back.
Okay.
And they do that to transition from lunch to dinner.
Time.
Yeah.
So, but I've heard better things about the Dutch trading quick service recently.
Okay.
Because it didn't start off so well either.
No.
Sorry, I'm trying to be critical because I really love Sapphire Falls. And you just got to kind of watch that. But Amatista.
Be critical, John. Be honest.
I don't know how to say that. It's kind of meh. It's just, it's not bad.
But it's not.
No one's ever said, John, you have to try this. This is the best dish I've ever had.
Okay.
But no one ever says my dish was awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of a spoiler for the breakfast buffet.
No,
I think I covered everything in that review. But
yeah.
That's I'm trying to point you in the right direction and be a good friend, and I'm like,
Appreciate it.
No, it's fine. I'd much rather you. We've always professed to be on here to be honest.
Yeah,
if we don't
but
like
I don't want to be.
something-
I don't want to be overly critical just because it's not a milkshake at Twosome.
Yes.
Just because it's not the portion size of volcano nachos at Margaritaville.
Yes.
Just because it's not the value of the tots at Green Eggs and Ham doesn't mean it's a bad choice.
Exactly. And not everything has to be amazing.
So I mean that's why I try to be sensitive to that. That's the writer editor in me going, well, you're being picky, but these people are going to go. It is a podcast. We're trying to inform a whole bunch of people, but I'm also trying to help you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had it, well, sorry, that's a different podcast. I'm a huge fan of Aventura, but some of you know that. So I would eat over Aventura, but we can discuss that later if you like.
It'll come up.
We've never been, so we have no views on Aventura yet.
Never been anywhere near it.
No. You're the wrong demographic for Aventura.
But we need
at least
to go.
with the kids.
We've driven past it.
Forget the kids.
Is the best we've done. When Maddie took us to the airport when we were over for the weekend, or we drove past it when she dropped us off.
Waved at
Right. I've done lots of reviews about Aventura. It's my preferred hotel.
Interesting. We talked about it recently and said
I'm a demographic with, the child's moved back in, but I have a college-age child.
Okay.
Well, that's what we have.
Technically, both of ours are that age.
One's finished, one's started.
Aventura, right. So that's a different, I forget. Your setup's a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's... Okay, next thing. I'm slowing us down.
That's me. Yes, next is, as we have mentioned,
of course, we've already
the
talked
Cowfish.
about it.
Okay.
It's just so weird how you can have two completely polar opposite experiences, and we really did.
The server really made the difference.
Well, let me take over for just a second and hijack. Here's my standard comments about Cowfish. See if any of these sound familiar.
Okay.
The menu looks overwhelming.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
The service is incredibly slow sometimes.
Yes.
It was backwards.
Often it's difficult to get seated. You have a reservation at a certain time. You don't get seated for another hour.
30 minutes. Yeah.
No, we didn't have a reservation.
I thought we did.
And remember, I'm taking across, probably 150 guest reviews. That I'm giving you.
See, our issue on that first one, John, was like we rocked up, but it was about 1:00 in the afternoon. Can we get a table for 6 of us?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be a half-hour wait. Okay.
Not a problem.
So Darren and Nina were with us. They took his cell number. They sent him a text when ready. We walked the whole rigmarole of going upstairs. The place was empty.
There was nobody in.
Uh-huh.
And yet we had to wait half an hour for them to find a table for us. It was empty.
2 small circular tables they shoved together for 6 of us. So people were
don't
back
need
to
to
back.
hear that story again.
No, it was just crazy.
This is one of the criticisms that we're hearing in lots of the theme park resorts that are third party. And I'm even going to include SeaWorld in this at the moment.
Okay.
SeaWorld, some of their third parties is struggling with the same thing. But you experienced this before COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a different issue. But on the positive side, there are people who swear by Cowfish is the greatest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. If you're unaware, the Cowfish is a chain restaurant. Well, I don't know how much of a chain it is currently.
About 2 or 3 is there elsewhere, I think.
It used to be. There used to be more. There used to be like 6 or 7, but many of those have gone out of business.
Okay.
COVID has been very difficult on restaurants, so we need to be fair about that.
Yes.
But they swear by the Cowfish, how it's the best thing in the world. I mean, I know I compared it to. I know I'm doing a lot of comparing to Disney. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It's a comparison people can make.
Yeah. Cowfish is comparable to. We compared it to Splitsville over at Disney Springs.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Splitsville is pizza, burgers, and sushi, and some other things. Cowfish is sushi and burgers, and yes, we combine the two together. And I have reviewed the All-American double cheeseburger ushi.
And I have stolen it from Chris.
And spoiler, I thought it was pretty good. My only criticism was this portion size was a little too small for $19-$20.
Wow. So I got the Cowfish has left the building. It was massive.
Yes. And when I get asked, I tell people to get burgers here because the portion size in the burger is tremendous.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be quite that big. Chris joked at the time that it's like Lee had some. Then Tracy had some, and it still looked like it hadn't been touched.
All I'll say is I had the second largest platter of sushi because I felt that getting the largest one to myself was a little greedy. I ate that. Then I tried to finish Lee's burger, and then I finished Chris's cheeseburger. Burgushi,
I think
as well. So I was obviously hungry that day.
I need to contract Tracy out for the September one because I get there a little bit later than you do to contract stuff out. Hey, how's things going there? Like, well, I had these 27 meals, John. You want to hear about them? So.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's true. When we went to Island's dining room, Michelle was like, Tracy, do you want to split the macadamia pancakes? Because you won't eat all of them by yourself. Just like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, watch me. Yeah, so
dare you.
Those plus a side of breakfast potatoes.
Yeah.
We got into the park and I was going, hungry.
What I love about Cowfish is, again, like so many restaurants and places that they brought into Universal, it's unique.
Yes.
And it's the menu, there's something for everyone. And that's what I was going to say there. I think the best way to experience Cowfish is to go with a group, as long as you're all happy with sharing.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay if I can have a separate plate and take something first.
Like you did, but you were trying a bit of Chris's,
yeah.
a bit of Alexa's, and a bit of mine.
I'm trying to be more relaxed about things.
And that's the way to experience, rather than having to pigeonhole yourself into picking one specific menu.
If you're willing to
item.
do the share thing, you get 2 or 3 of the sushi rolls, and you get a couple appetizers. Speaking of appetizers, I would get the crab rangoon dip, which I'm going to circle back to that in a second. The calamari here.
Yeah.
Notice there's a trend coming. One of my calamari experts, and she knows who she is, had the crinkle cut French fries. So they're like fried. I mean, it's not crinkle cut. Pickles,
it's not easy to say that, is it?
Pickles, okay.
No, it is not. With a southern accent, southern U.S. accent, it's really hard. Crinkle cut French pickles or fried pickles. I can't even say it. She had it and said they were just incredible and wonderful.
I'm not
Universal has experimented more than once recently where they do like events on the second, I call it the second floor area. It's up where the nightclubs used to be. That's not technically the second floor, but it's up where Antiheroes is and Cowfish. And they block that off, and they block off Pat O'Brien's and other things. They've experimented with taking some of those places that are blocked off and doing like pop-up kiosks in the middle of City Walk.
Okay.
And one of the appetizers that always comes from Cowfish is the crab rangoon dip.
Okay.
And I've watched that experiment a couple times now, and I was hoping that maybe that would become permanent, that they would have that just to pop up, because they could probably sell that, a whole bunch of that. And I'll make sure we talk about this at the end. But they did like a pop-up tent near where the mobile food ordering is for Voodoo Donut.
Okay.
Just for perspective.
Okay.
And so people go here for this all the time. The burgers are wonderful. If you're not sure and you're going by yourself, and I'm flipping through this gigantic menu right now.
Yeah, it's huge.
As they can see me, I just can't find it. There's a bento box.
Mm-hmm,
there
that's
it is.
The first thing I had.
I've heard the bento boxes, like ours weren't great, and I haven't heard good things about them either.
I was cold.
Well, obviously, because of the way they're packaged, you're going to get slightly lower quality.
Yeah.
But that's true in all those kind of sampler things. But, you know, if you get the fusion specialty one, you get, a mini burger, sweet potato fries, a lot, the cucumbers, the edamame, and then you get 4 pieces of fusion specialty roll, and then 3 pieces of, other sushi from there. It's not a bad deal. I haven't done it because I'm not as obsessed with sushi as some of my other friends. Mm-hmm. But
I mean, when you talk about it there, it sounds like a really good deal, doesn't it? If you want to try a few different things, it sounds ideal.
That's what I did.
But your idea is much better. I can think of several of my theme park friends who are like, they go together and like 8 of them go together and sit down and share a whole bunch of stuff, and they have a great time. And they think, I'm thinking of one in particular. He and his group think Cowfish is the greatest thing. I mean, I joke about it because my wife has not had good experiences at Cowfish. Yeah. I don't know if you know what that's like. Ha and so as a result, every time that they'll say, we'll be in the parks with them, and they'll say, we're going to Cowfish for 3:00. I'm like, honey, don't say anything. Don't say anything. They love the Cowfish. So.
Yeah. I was very reluctant to go back.
Yeah.
Very reluctant.
We weren't. Right. We were going. Where were we going?
Antiheroes?
We'd planned to go somewhere else, and it was Darren suggested, hey, why don't we go back to Cowfish? And we were all like, what?
It was Antiheroes, wasn't
I
it?
can't remember, to be fair. But yeah,
I'm glad.
I love the place
I'm glad
now.
it was
I'm glad
suggested.
that we went back and tried it
Yeah.
again because I love the place now.
Let's hope the third time continues the loving
I mean,
trend.
that's the issue, isn't it? Right, I'm
Yes.
going to move on to my next one, and I'm not as excited for this one now because they took two off that I was excited about, and that is Central Park Crepes in Universal Studios Florida. Now, they've took off the lemon blueberry, which was the one that I was most looking forward to, and also the smoked brisket, which was one of the most highly rated ones as well. Now, I don't know what the pork carnitas is like.
Back up the truck. Hold on.
Yeah.
Smoked brisket didn't go anywhere.
Which one did they get rid of? Oh, the vegan.
They got
Sorry,
rid
the
of
vegan
the
chicken.
plant-based vegan
Yes,
one.
sorry,
Yes,
you're
which-
right.
sorry,
Which,
that-
which,
Yeah.
which didn't sell.
Right, is that why they got rid of it?
I know.
Okay.
I know when I was writing for Touring Plans, we did a whole breakdown of rankings and how many were getting sold, and I just chat with TMs, and the plant-based chicken was not selling well at all.
Okay.
So you fight for these options for these people, and they don't go and eat them, for goodness sake,
Yes.
people.
Well, in fairness, the problem was the quality of that item. Now, I have a friend who is from your country and does do a podcast, and he had that one right before it went out, and he thought it was just great and wonderful. But most of the time, it's never good. The vegan berry, which is basically the replacement for the lemon blueberry, is good.
There was something about the vegan berry that I wouldn't.
Coconut.
Oh, coconut! I can't stand it.
Coconut with topping.
Yeah, but from my vegan friends who have had it, they refer to the items that you would be worried about for the taste and the texture, which is always a weakness with some vegan items. Yes. I agree. The over coconut flavoring is not there, and the texture problem is not there either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm one of those people too. I despise coconut. That's a different discussion.
I can find. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in anything.
The slightest. Yeah.
The pork carnita, because Universal has an obsession with pork carnitas.
They do. You're right.
Have they got a pig farm?
Yes, we talked about the new tots over at Green Eggs and Ham last week.
Yes, and I have heard nothing but good things about these. The standard criticism I hear about Central Park Crepe, all of them, is they're too messy.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're telling me is there's too much stuff in your crepe and you'd like to get less food.
No.
Right, and that's what that means when I hear too messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism about the place as a whole is the fact it's just not big enough and the lines for it are horrendous.
I do have to say, based on, and yes, these are things you do when you're a food blogger and you work with people. We're almost like touring planes. We've been timing how long it takes to get a crepe from the time you get in line to the time you get out. Yes, if that sounds like touring plans, yes, welcome to, I learned a few things with them. And the speed has been way faster than it was before. Now, is it fast? No. But are you going to be waiting in line 45 minutes to an hour? Probably not.
Okay.
So the average has been, since we hit the height of summer, people have been waiting about 12 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, on average. Now that's average. You may wait 25.
Yeah. Yeah, well, which isn't bad. I know from our experience of when we went to Green Eggs and Ham, there was no one in line and we probably waited 25 minutes, half an hour. To be fair, we did order all of them.
Right. This is the tricky part about Universal. Universal has done a really great job, and I want to applaud them. They have done a great job in adding a lot more quality vegan items. They've done a great job adding a lot more non-traditional items in the last 5 years. And they have done a really good job of creating a lot more made-to-order items that are fresh, don't sit around.
Okay.
We'll get to an example where that's not true on your list here pretty soon, so get ready. But the problem is that's created longer lines, and then when COVID hit, Universal was not ready to deal with that, and the food lines were ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I remember we timed it. I left now granted, this was spring break during the height of COVID, so just to be fair, I left Islands of Adventure and someone else went to a standard burger food place inside the parks. I walked to Margaritaville, walked in, sat down, typed on my phone, had a sandwich, came back. They were just getting their burger.
Wow.
Okay, just for perspective.
Wow.
Those problems have gone away, but it's still not great. We can talk about mobile ordering at some point, but those kind of things. But Cowfish is a great option. Just go in and realize that you are going on an adventure. And if you are not open to food that looks different and tastes different than it looks, you might not want to go to Cowfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because that throws me off.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go next, Lee?
Oh, it's Tracy's this time. And to be
Okay, my
fair,
bad.
it's not on my list, but it should be because it is one of my favourite places on City Walk.
We are going to Antiheroes. Please don't upset me.
I love Antiheroes. Look, also one of I will say that one of our listeners and very good friends of ours works there as well. So
Also, I have already been upset 'cause my favourite item is no longer an item.
she said they changed
but
it
still
slightly.
It's
Well,
change.
what
I
I'm
don't like
talking about-
change. Flautus.
They modified them.
Yes.
Yeah, and that worries me because with the issues I have, I don't like change. So
I know it was a while ago, but our
Okay, that
first...
sounds like a different issue. Somebody who's a better minister than me
Yeah.
needs to help you with. But okay,
Yeah.
I gotta get the idea.
I mean, it's always that first experience. Our first experience of Cowfish was back in 2015. Cowfish, we're not even talking about Cowfish.
No.
Sorry, our first experience of
You can't get Cowfish out of your mind.
Apparently not. Our experience of Antiheroes was back in 2015, and it hadn't been open long. And there was 13 of us.
at least, yeah.
And I tell you what, they dealt with us so well.
We'd let them know we're coming in. It was a big group.
But
And
they put us in a certain place, and we were asked to be moved to somewhere else, and it wasn't a problem. They just the customer service, like nothing was too much of an issue for them.
Yeah.
The whole meal was great. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
A few of us modified our meals. It was It was a great experience.
My biggest issue with
Yes.
it is very loud.
Yes, I was going to say this is not a very. Let me be very culturally insensitive. This is not your nice, polite British restaurant.
No.
No.
Hang on. Sorry, polite and British does not go together.
Right. Well, you know what I mean. There. Well, remember, polite in the U.S. means something different than polite in British.
Okay.
Okay, just for perspective. This is a tip. This is what you would expect a U.S. theme park Mexican restaurant to look like and be like.
Yeah.
So it is going to be loud. I know I've got some reservations set up in August and September, and I keep telling people, it's going to be loud there, right? And just to make sure they know.
Yeah.
My main criticisms of Antiheroes authentic Mexican food, and I very carefully said their official name for the reason I said it, is twofold. One, the price point is a little high compared to what I can easily get off site.
Of course, yes.
But it's not as bad as it used to be because the restaurants offsite have raised their prices.
Okay.
So it's not quite as awful as it was.
Yeah, that disparity
and
is less. Okay.
the original vision from Universal of this restaurant was to do a real Mexican place, not what we in the U.S. consider to be all the chain Mexican restaurants.
Yeah.
But people didn't buy the stuff because it seemed like it cost too much, because to get better quality food, you need better ingredients. There's some logic here. So they dumbed down the menu, but they kept the menu, the title, authentic Mexican food. So all my friends who truly know Mexican food are like, I can't believe they call this Mexican food.
Yeah.
Having said that, my wife has told me that we are going to Antiheroes next trip. She didn't tell me, but she told me the way a spouse tells another spouse, and they know you don't have a choice, which is fine. There really is nothing here that's bad. If you're into tableside guacamole,
yes,
get that.
And I'm so we've been twice and still have not had the tableside guac, and I know it's sacrilege to go to Antiheroes and not get that.
Yeah.
My criticism of the guacamole is really this simple. The guacamole is good, but it's $15 for that portion size of guacamole. I don't think that's a good value.
You have to really
However,
like avocado and
if you're on
cilantro.
if you're on vacation and you're from somewhere where you're probably not going to get authentic tasting guacamole, is it worth it? Yes.
We don't get Mexican.
Yeah,
I was trying to be nice.
It's true. Like trying to find a Mexican restaurant near us, you're not going to find one.
It closed.
Right.
And it wasn't all that.
I went to seminary in Texas and trained in places where, did work in Mexican countries. Okay. So in Mexico. So obviously my perspective is a little different. Remember I mentioned the pop-up stands in City Walk that they've experimented with a couple times. They're up for one day and then they're gone the next day. The I always say this wrong. The esquites, which is like a corn in a cup
Yes.
or a seasoned corn, is phenomenal at Antiheroes. That's also on the appetizer menu.
Okay.
I really sitting here looking through the whole menu, and their menu is kind of long.
It is.
There's really nothing here that's bad. I generally recommend that people get a burrito or the enchiladas here.
I've had the burrito twice, and it was
yeah. And I've
good.
got to add on, when you're not familiar with a lot of these menu items, the servers have been the first time the servers were so
That's
helpful
an
and talked us
excellent
through
point. Yes, it really
and
is.
asked for preferences and really helped. It was
the guy
great.
we had last time was hilarious.
Oh, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had that funny little round booth, weren't we? It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And remember, if you're going to go here and you're going to go at night and you're going to sit inside, and I guess I should put this in at this point, even though we're making this podcast go way too long.
That's Lee's problem.
Right. You really need to start considering reservations for places at Universal. I hate to say that as someone who may or may not write for two different sites that teach you how to get reservations at Lake Buena Vista. We're starting both of those. One of them is considering looking at how to do it at Universal because it's becoming so much harder.
Yes, I'm hearing that a lot at the moment. Yeah, because from what we're hearing is that a lot of the staff got laid off during COVID and they're struggling to fill those server.
That's true for the entire state.
Yeah.
Because the service industry people moved away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
COVID
so
on everybody.
And so it's really changed the industry dramatically.
Yeah.
And so we should expect, I don't know about Universal, but we should expect all across Orlando that everything's going to cost more.
Yeah. And also, sadly, a lot of consumers literally aren't appreciating this fact either.
No, that's where you've got
the quick people are quick to complain and not to consider these points. And the servers that are there are worked off their feet.
Yeah, you've just got to go in knowing that it's not going to be what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
The world's changed.
You know, allow yourself a bit more
let me
time.
just say this to make fun of my country for a second. It gets worse because we live in the country of sales tax.
Yep.
And so, you see the price and there's more. I need to get something else too. And we also live in the world of tip culture and my culture, which is just bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole different discussion. Do be careful if you're dining away from Universal Orlando.
Okay.
Many restaurants have started not raising their prices, but adding a fee.
Okay.
We'll pick on SeaWorld here. SeaWorld has done this lately. It's $5. They have at the bottom of the menu, it says, and there'll be a 5% fee. There'll be a 10% fee. So they didn't change the price. They just added their own tax on top of it.
That's weird. Okay.
We're seeing this a lot it's kind of like the resort fee phenomenon for hotels.
Yes.
And you tip on
which
top
I
of that.
despise, by the way.
Yeah, you will do. It's not a gratuity. It's just a fee.
It's just a fee.
Oh, well.
And so, that's a whole different discussion. I don't know enough about it to point you in the right direction.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what we're
that's
seeing
strange.
in the last month or so.
I'm the type of person that if
You just won't tip.
if you push me enough, I'll go to Walmart or Publix on the way in and take a packed lunch.
Funny you should mention that. I know what's coming up here. What's up, Lee?
Right, next one. We're going in. I don't know where we're at. So we're actually going to do the next one that Tracy and I both had on our list. And it's somewhere I have been desperate to. We've been once. It was for a character breakfast way back in 2009.
Gosh, I was going to say, you know how old you sound when you say that? Because you were probably one of the last people to get a character breakfast there.
Do you know what? It was so good as well. It was
amazing.
So good. And that is the Confisco Grill. And going off the pass holder appreciation days, I am hoping that we can get up in that Navigators Club. I am desperate to go and eat up in the Navigators Club.
We've never been up there.
A couple things real quick, and these things change on a minute-by-minute basis.
Yeah.
Currently, it's known as the I guess it is still the Navigators Club, is open to anyone, not just pass holders.
Okay.
However, I would expect it to revert to a pass holder lounge during pass holder appreciation day. So bear that in mind for your September trip.
Because they normally do. It's been a pass holder appreciation days thing, hasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, they have very good restrooms up there. So I hear.
Supposed to have gone up there.
I never said that.
I was going to say, some of you went up there when you weren't supposed to be able to.
I know, naughty people.
I don't
and they
know
told
who
me
those
all
people
about
were.
it. No.
Oh, is that what it was? I love that. You sound like a bunch of ministers who just got in trouble for something. I didn't do it. Someone else did it. Okay.
Oh, was it someone?
They said the gate was open. It wasn't locked, so there was a reason why they could just go up the stairs because it didn't look out of bounds.
That hasn't gotten anybody in the theme park media in trouble when a gate was unlocked and they went into it. That hasn't happened.
No.
But if I were going to go to Confisco, and I've written this a lot lately, I've probably written the most reviews of anything at Universal about Confisco in the last year. I probably have 10 reviews across the internet of things at Confisco. The food has gotten better there. They have a new main chef, and she's doing a really good job.
Okay.
USA Today, which is not the best source for these things, for their top 10 list, Confisco won of the best theme park restaurant. Now, granted, how you define that is the great joke. Like the UK version of voting on theme park best restaurants picks Mythos, so we can make that joke if we'd like. But if we're going to go to Confisco's, I would recommend the ahi tuna nachos.
Ooh, yes, I'm in.
Yes,
they're a great deal. Wonderful. They have lemon chicken soy lettuce wraps, which sound like they wouldn't be a big deal. They're really good.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And they have on the current menu, they've changed the title.
I'm just looking at the menu now, actually.
It says summer hummus. It used to be known as lemon something hummus, but I don't see any change in the description.
They should just call it summers.
I know my vegan friends, because you can see if you look at the menu, it says VG, which means vegan. Yeah. They swear by this item as being incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. Our daughter loves hummus.
Does she?
Yeah. Why do you think we had it the other day?
Okay.
Now I'm a little spoiled because I've reviewed some other place where some perhaps Iron Chef may be in charge with ribs and Asian. So I may have reviewed that a few too many times, but I hear good things about the sticky ribs at Confisco.
Oh, sounds good.
I have a couple good reviews recently about it. So just so we're clear, the same pad thai that's offered at Mythos is offered at Confisco.
Okay.
If you believe the online menus, and I have confirmed the price as of today, it's cheaper at Confisco.
Don't tell everybody that. We need to be able to get in.
This is the problem. Okay, now during a pass holder perk period back in May, they had the Dan noodles.
Yes,
that is now a permanent part of the menu.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I have reviewed it. Don't do it.
Oh.
I'm just gonna be as clear about that as I can.
Okay.
Don't.
Okay.
I don't have good things to say about it, and majority of the people who I've talked to did not have good things to say about it.
That is good to know.
Which is interesting considering it was a pass holder appreciation days thing, and now they've made it permanent. That's correct. But there was also kind of a chef change, a promotion for USA Today, and I think the problem with that item is if it is prepared properly, it's stinking awesome. If it's not prepared properly, it's terrible.
Just stinks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always recommend at Confisco's, and I'm looking at the list that I've reviewed all of these. They have their handheld section. They make their own bread there. Ooh. They bake their own bread there. And the bread works really well. All three of the handhelds, they have a wrap, which is good, but I would go with one of these sandwiches, the baked chicken, the BLTA. You can get it without avocado. It doesn't lower the quality. Because I'm not just so you're clear, and just tell them beforehand. And the pork belly banh mi is really good.
Oh, see, that sounds good.
Just do be warned that Confisco hasn't figured out how to make anything above average French fries.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I'm not a huge French fry fan. Anyway,
they are what they are.
I tend to just get them because it's usually the standard side.
Yeah.
No, that's a rumor. I don't want. Universal's trying to do something different with their French fries and to create some upcharges on their French fries to make them better, but I can't confirm anything because it's mostly a rumor.
Okay.
Right. Moving on to our penultimate one. And this is one just because of where we're staying in September.
This would have been an honourable mention for me.
And like having watched a few vlogs and stuff, and I'm excited to stay at Dockside, but I do kind of like having gone to Bayliner, that food court kind of vibe is Pier 8 Market. And I've heard good things about it as well. The chicken and waffle bucket is right up my alley.
You just like the word bucket, don't you? Because to be honest, both of us are looking forward to buckets. Yours is full of chicken and waffles. Mine's full of cocktails.
I love chicken and waffles. It's
priority.
I hate the fact that it's not a thing over here, but I love chicken.
It's in our house.
It is in our house.
You have. Okay, first, I'm going to put out disclaimers here. I prefer Surfside over Dockside.
Okay.
Oh, you could have waited until we'd stayed there and told us that.
Right. Sorry. But remember, I have a different perspective.
You do.
Dockside, it's a little trickier to get to the restaurants on iDrive. Surfside, it's really easy. And it's really easy to get to the Walgreens store, which is, I forget what the equivalent is in your country, but it's a merging of like a drugstore and a grocery store. Yeah. It's easy to walk across to that at Surfside.
Okay.
So that if I don't want to overspend for a freestyle cup I'm not sure going to use, I can get my diet soda addiction across the street.
Okay.
And there's several decent chain restaurants easy to reach at Surfside. So I tend to say that, having said all of that, anything with chicken or waffle or pizza at Surfside, at Pier 8 or Beach Break, which is the Surfside version, is going to be good.
Okay.
Oh, that's us happy then.
Yeah.
that has raised they've raised the price of the 8-piece to $26. It used to be $24. Okay. And the standard 2-piece fried chicken is now $12. So they've raised the price a little bit, but I still think it's a pretty good value. Yeah. For those of you who are Orlando or Florida residents, the chicken there is not Publix chicken. It's not going to compare to Publix chicken, but I wouldn't walk across the street for KFC if I had this if I was getting the waffles with it at Pier 8.
So basically what you're saying is they need to do a chicken and waffle pizza.
Oh,
I like this idea. Now, granted, as a food blogger, I tend to come up with some really, really awful ideas, but this has potential.
Yeah.
You can make a waffle crust.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out how to go from there. But I do want to point out, I cannot find it online. It may have stopped because I didn't think about it until actually I walked in the office today. At the value and the prime value hotels, so Aventura, Cabana Bay, the Endless Summers, they have in-room pizza specials, which you can't purchase in the food courts. You can only purchase them online.
Okay.
You can only purchase them online or calling your room service from your phone.
Yeah.
Almost always those deals are pretty good. I've used them at Cabana Bay and Surfside.
Okay.
Usually you get like a pizza, one pizza, whatever toppings you want on it, and a side and maybe a dessert, and then 2 20-ounce sodas or 1 20-ounce sodas. Probably 25 US, maybe 28 US. Now you'll need to be polite and tip your person who brings it to your room. Okay. And they're going to charge it to your room. So it's a little awkward if you're like me and you don't like to charge things to your room.
Yeah.
However, if you're tired and you don't want to mess with this, let me assure you, if you order it, it may take a while to get to your room, but you don't have to leave your room.
Yeah.
And if you break it down, you might be paying a little bit more because you might not have ordered the cheese and grapes like I added when I was at Cabana Bay. But then I was like, yeah, but now I have something that resembles nutrition. I can feel better about this horrible food I'm eating the rest of the day. So there was an argument to be had. So I remember at Cabana Bay, it was 1 pizza, an appetizer, and I got something with fruit in it. I don't remember what.
But it was fruit.
And it came with a dessert, and I got like a fruit pack or something like that. Now fruit always tastes better in Florida, even if it's from a convenience store. It always tastes better in Florida.
It does, to be fair.
And then I got 2 20-ounce sodas. Also, I remember that being $25. I'm sure it's more now. That was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Mental note: don't tell the kids about
that's my
ordering
insider tip. If you're staying at Surfside or Dockside or Cabana Bay or Aventura, is find that on. It'll be somewhere in your room. They will tell you what the special is. If they don't have it there, call down, push the button on your phone, and find out what it is.
Interesting. Cool.
So what you're saying is, when we go to Horror Nights, what we have to do is send one child ahead.
Well, let me say Horror Nights because I tested this out. That won't work quite as well during Horror Nights. However, last year, and I'm watching this very closely because I'm there for almost 2 weeks during Horror Nights this time, and maybe more. All the value and value. Sorry, I keep using the wrong term. It's now called prime value hotels. Yes. Yeah, I'm still struggling with that. They kept their modified food court open until about 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Now, granted, it was just pizzas or it was just basic stuff. It wasn't all the stuff we're used to expecting, like at Urban Pantry or at Bayliner Diner. Yeah. But they kept them open till, I guarantee, till 1.
Yeah.
And so they didn't run the delivery service after that, but it was kind of like streamlined. Don't expect the food to be of the quality you're going to get during the day.
Of course not.
Oh, no.
But you're eating at 1 a.m.
Yes.
You get what you get.
You just need something.
Sometimes you do. You come in from Horror Nights, you go, I'm starving. I just want just a cheap pizza. It'll do. You want it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was saying. You send one of the kids ahead.
Or just me.
And it can just be there, ready and waiting.
I think what I love about the idea of Pier 8, especially like I'm a big breakfast. When we come over to America, breakfast is the thing that I look forward to the most. And I know from going to Bayliner, that, especially with having the kids with us, is being able to send everyone off. Just go and get what you want, and then all come together to pay for it at the end. It's like you go and get what you want, rather than everybody having to go around together. You just send off your pop, come back together, pay for it at the end. I really like that idea.
Bayliner has, and I don't think this is an arguable thing. Bayliner Diner is the best breakfast food court option in the Orlando area.
Yes.
That is a big statement.
Yeah, hang on. I'm a massive deja vu.
I think I'm actually, since you've mentioned that, I'm thinking I may submit a blog suggestion for somebody to write, because I'm like, spoiler, I think Urban Pantry is the best food court at any theme park, resort, hotel, anywhere, any place, anytime. Okay. That's over at Aventura. I don't think it's even a debate. But that place is weak when it comes to breakfast.
I am having serious major deja vu here.
Well, we haven't done this before.
Seriously.
But but Cabana Bay's breakfast is really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I can complain about the price point, but you got to get over it at some point.
Yeah, it's a theme park. You know it's going to be expensive. It is what it is.
Because we all know one of the major weaknesses at Universal from a food standpoint is, where do I get breakfast once I get to the park?
Yes. We've complained about that for years.
I just want to know where to get good coffee.
I thought Hard Rock having breakfast every morning was going to help that, and it didn't help.
It's a shame, because that actually looks we were looking at it the other day. It looks really good.
Spoiler, I've reviewed 3 or 4 of their breakfast items. I think my tone of voice should tell you how I thought about it.
But yeah, we've talked about, I remember doing an episode on where to get breakfast in the parks. It was that long ago that Hunter was on, and Hunter's been left for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Hunter's been on like 12 other podcasts by now.
Exactly. It's just that, like, outside of the hotels, there isn't really anywhere to get a proper breakfast.
It's a problem. But that's we could waste 2 more hours of podcast on that. I don't want to bore your audience on that.
We could literally do grab bags.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
You've got Cinnabon. Just have a Cinnabon for breakfast.
Like I say, my trouble is finding coffee.
Today Cafe.
I know, because you don't like Starbucks.
No, she hates Starbucks. Nope. You like the Today Cafe stuff,
I like that, and I like IHOP's coffee. They're both quite a soft blend.
Apart from when you go to buy a bag of the Today Cafe coffee and ask them how much it is, how much was it?
Your firstborn child.
Yeah,
basically.
It was a lot of money. She was like, no.
It was something like $20.
I was going to say it's $24, $25, right?
Yeah, and I was like, so what? Is that the entire coffee plant?
Like I said, Steve Jason's over there pulling coffees. Is he going to pour it for me every day? Because for that price, I might pay that.
He did actually make our coffee.
He did, you're right.
And it was very good. But what I like about a place like Today Cafe is, because I'm a regular in my coffee shop. Literally, I walk in the door and it's handed to me, which is not very healthy, I'm realising. But I will get like a large coffee, but I only have 1 shot in it. And I find it difficult with some places, especially when it's just a machine. I hate that stuff. But when they're making a proper fresh coffee, in the Today Cafe, I was like, could you actually do it so there's a lot more water and so it's weaker? And they were great with that.
I mean, I know we are not talking about the Today Cafe, but like I say, I know when we were in there, and like when executive chef Steve Jason's in there, Yeah, it's somewhere you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It goes without saying why it's not on our list because we love the Today Cafe.
Right. Since mentioning it, Today Cafe, if you are vegetarian, not vegan, vegetarian is probably one of the best theme park quick service, counter service places in Florida.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it in there.
I must admit, the I Heart Vegan sandwich is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Be careful. They change that often.
Yeah.
I know it's near your hotel, so I don't want to ruin that for you, but they tend to change these things often.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in my little disclaimer here at the end because Lee told me I could mention it later. But okay, we got one more restaurant to go.
We do. And please, John, we know you've mentioned kind of already.
Actually, this was not originally on my list, but I had to put something in.
Oh.
It was just below what I was not allowed to put in. But this is Bar
Okay, do I find out what you're not allowed to?
Right,
do I get a message later?
Basically, she was like,
I want to do the Wonderland Luau.
And I was like, no, this is supposed to be restaurants. This is places, eateries we want to eat at.
Is it not a place? Yes, it's an eatery that I want to eat at.
It's not an eatery.
Well, here's your cover, Lee. I have no idea what the food is like at the Luau. I've never been, don't know. I would be useless helping.
It is somewhere I want to go to.
Then I'll take one for the team.
Exactly. Well, I believe my wife wants to do that also.
Well, there we go. Girls' date.
The two Saturdays.
Here's the problem. It's only on Saturday nights.
Yes.
And I know my wife will never listen to this because why would you? Because you have to listen to me.
Spoke like a true husband.
I was like, oh my goodness, it's back. Because I wrote an article about how it's back, standard article. And I was like, oh, that means I have to go. Okay, but then I was like, oh, but we're flying out on Saturday morning, so it's only on Saturday night. And it conflicts with Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
And I must admit, Horror Nights comes first.
So the two Saturday nights that we're over this year, one night we'll be doing an RIP tour, and the other night we'll be doing the weekend. So it's Saturday nights and not something.
And also, I'm quite sure that if I do have any nights free, one of my friends will be whisking me somewhere.
Anyway,
there better be.
Bar 17 Bistro was what we were talking about.
Bar 17 Bistro at Aventura. I don't think I actually got that far.
Have I mentioned how much I love Aventura?
No.
No, I've never heard you say that, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I haven't mentioned it, let me mention it. I believe it's all across the internet. I probably have reviewed Aventura. I know I have. I've reviewed Aventura more than any other hotel at Universal. Okay. I've written the most about it. I've written trip reports. I think Aventura is wonderful and great. One of the best selling points for Aventura is the food. Did I mention Urban Pantry is one of the best food courts anywhere?
Yes, you did.
However, on the top of this building is Bar 17 Bistro.
I think we may know somebody else who quite likes this place.
Bar 17 Bistro is wonderful. I will just give you a hint of other people who may listen to this podcast. In September, when I go down, part of my trip, I'm staying with a group that used to always stay at the premier hotels and always stayed there. They have decided for a variety of reasons that they prefer to stay at Aventura, and we're going to stay in a suite that sleeps 9 people. It's not going to be 9 of us, but it sleeps 9 people. And I guarantee we will be spending quite a bit of time at Bar 17. I will finish reviewing every single item on this menu, which I'm halfway through by now.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
The bistro is, I think it's great. And I want to put out this disclaimer. Please do not take this as condemnation, any of these things. I'm not trying to be one of those people. I don't drink alcohol. That's why I call myself a food blogger and not a dining blogger, because I have no idea how many of these drinks taste.
Okay.
But I have been told that Bar 17 serves some excellent beverages. But my point is, for someone who does not drink, I schedule time to go to Bar 17.
Now, the biggest criticism I've heard of Bar 17 is that it's expensive.
Well, you remember the bao buns, Tracy?
Uh-huh.
Now, just for the record, spoiler, I'll give my editor and owner some credit. I have reviewed all 3 of the bao buns at Bar 17 recently. I think the quality is higher than Ben the Bao. But
which it should be, to be fair.
Yeah.
Which they should be, and it does come with a little salad that goes with them and all these other things. So and it's presented better, and there's a whole bunch of other things that go on.
Salad.
It's something to make it look pretty.
All right.
It's like a what do they call it? A wakame salad. It's kind of one of those kind of things. I added it inside one of the bao buns for one of them for taste, and it tasted great. Okay. But It's 3 bao buns for $18. And you
Okay.
can go find it on Pirates and Princesses. You can see my hand, and I have a normal size male hand for someone who's 6'2". Okay. Those bao buns look tiny. And they're the same size as Ben the Bao, by the way.
Right.
Okay. See, what I'm hearing you say here is I have to eat at both places.
Well, I do see it on both lists.
And then
It's not on my list.
And then I can.
It wasn't. It was on hers.
Yeah, it wasn't on mine.
Hey, what can I say? I like what I like.
My issue with Bar 17 or Aventura as a whole is I wouldn't. And this is going to make me sound really bad. I'm supposed to know my stuff about Universal. I have no idea how to get there.
Uber.
No, I'm not going to Uber from the
That's
parks.
a
If
valid
I'm in
point.
City Walk, how do we get to Aventura?
Well, here's my smart aleck response. Here's how most people do it.
Walk.
I don't. I walk, but that's done because I've probably eaten as much food as Tracy dreams about eating every day I'm at the theme park. So I feel I need to walk. So it's about a 15, 20-minute walk back to Aventura from the theme parks.
Okay.
However, most people take the bus downstairs. I mean, you've stayed at Cabana Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Same bus.
Okay.
Which is a horrible setup, and that's a different discussion in Universal, and I can continue to fight about that. But that's the same pickup. Or you can take the boat to Sapphire Falls and walk from Sapphire Falls to Aventura.
Okay. How far is it from Sapphire?
I'm trying not to make fun of you at this moment. You should know that they're next door.
They are next. Yes, they are.
No, I know where Cabana Bay is. It's across the road, but I didn't know where. Look,
Hang on.
I'm terrible.
So you see, what I'm hearing here is you go past Sapphire Falls, and because it's magnetic, it pulls you in. So you start there, and then you go to Aventura, and then you have to come back. So you get the best of both worlds. You have to do both.
I have some friends who are from the UK who are kind of famous in the Universal theme park world who will go nameless at the moment, who often stay at Sapphire Falls or stay at places Aventura, and they stay at lots of places. And they commonly walk from Sapphire Falls over to Aventura for the food at Aventura. Go to Bar 17 to stay there.
Mm.
Well, then,
we are not
if we're
afraid of
staying
walking
at
anywhere.
Sapphire Falls, then that seems to be the ideal opportunity, is to walk over to Aventura one night.
Multiple times.
Right.
No,
That's
because we
what
want to eat at Sapphire.
I kind of assumed when I saw this on the list when you sent it to me yesterday I assumed that's what you were thinking.
No, it was just on the list. Having never been to Aventura, and not
I would like to go and explore it properly.
Because it's not really on my radar at all. I mean, we literally reviewed it. We did a whole episode on it a few weeks back, and I think it was me, Tracy, and Michelle. And I think all three of us kind of went, it's just kind of there and not really somewhere that is on my radar as wanting to stay. So we've never really looked at it other than...
Right, and I know I was that podcast listener, and I know I do this to people, and trust me, I'm a minister. I know people listen to me, and they're like, I can't believe you just said that, especially preaching about religious freedom this past Sunday, what it really means. I was just wanting to throw stuff during that podcast about Aventura. But I understand that for many people, based on if you have younger children, if you're looking for a huge theme, Aventura is terrible.
Yeah.
I am a 50-something gray-haired white guy who just wants to go to my hotel and it to be quiet, have nice food, not have things get too busy, and have an easy trip to my room. I mean, I've reviewed this several times. From the time you get your keys, which it's easy to get, you don't have that ridiculous line you do at Cabana Bay to check in. I've never waited more than 6 minutes to check in at Aventura.
Wow.
It's never taken me longer than 3 minutes to get to my room from the time I get my key. And Aventura has king rooms where you get a king bed. Try to find that at Universal. But
I like the idea of that.
Yeah, one of the best selling points is the rooftop bar.
Yeah.
Because there's an express elevator. It's easy to get there. And just for perspective, and this will take you back in time. And once again, I'm doing that bad thing of mentioning Lake Buena Vista. When Steakhouse 71 opened over at Lake Buena Vista, and they had the stack burger, which was supposed to be the greatest burger that Disney had created. It is really good. Some site brought me over from Universal because I was staying over there, brought me over to try it out, and I had that for lunch. Then I came back to my room at Aventura, and I wrote some stuff, and then I wanted to have dinner. So I went up to Bar 17 and had the rooftop burger, which is a cheaper burger, and I thought the rooftop burger was just as good.
Which I've drooled at because yes.
I'm looking at my notes now. One detail. If it's a Universal hotel, do not trust the online menu.
Okay.
The Aventura customer service and I are still fighting online after 2 months about how they didn't update the online menu on the tablet in the room.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it became, well, why don't you tell us what's wrong with the menu? And I responded with, you really don't want to tell someone who spends 8 hours a week typing stuff that they should solve a problem for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when he's paying full price for your hotel room so he can review it.
Yes.
It didn't go so well, let's just say.
Sure.
And they still have not updated it. It took them weeks to update it. I have a photo of the latest menu at Bar 17, or message me and I will send it to you.
Cool.
It's a terrible photo because I don't take photos as a blogger. I take photos so I have reference later to know what I ate.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're having 6 voodoo donuts and you're having, all the green eggs and ham, and you're going to Mythos, and then you're going to Wizarding World, and then you just want to know what happened so that you can write it when you get back to your room at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So I have a terrible photo, but I have it. The rooftop burger as of May was $16 and comes with fries.
Okay,
it's not bad actually.
No, it's not bad at all actually.
On the appetizer menu, since we downgraded the bows, and I have tried all those. The chef's cheese board is a good deal. It's adult Lunchables. I don't know if you have Lunchables in the UK.
We do.
Yes.
Okay, it's adult Lunchables.
Oh, I'm in.
The chicken wings are really good. One of my chicken wings mushroom expert, yes, you Kimmy, she swears by those.
Anything that's got gochujang, I'm there.
And so those kind of things. And so, but yes, a criticism of Bar 17 is the price point is high. But how do I say this with all due respect? I've eaten there probably 4 or 5 times now. And I used to not go to Aventura because I just was going to other places. I've always sat on a couch. I've always had a table in front of me to myself. I've always had a view of Orlando. Nice. When I sit. Now, granted, I tend to go earlier. I tend to go around 6 o'clock. The place starts hopping around 7:30 or 8.
That's good to know.
That's good to know, yeah.
And if you get a room at floor 16 and it's the weekend, you might want to request a different room.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the one below. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all I'm trying to say because they'll have a DJ up there. They'll have all these kind of things. And so one of the criticisms I'm hearing of Aventura, I know I've glowed about it. One of the criticisms I'm hearing about Aventura lately is people are having a lot more noise issues. Okay. Not the same level of noise issues you have at Endless Summer.
Don't say that.
You message me off.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
It's me that doesn't want to know.
I don't want to know. I'd rather go in.
Noise.
No, I don't want to know.
When I stay there, that may be why my Black Panther headphones just died. I always have my Black Panther headphones, and I always have them going. Ironically, I think I've listened to your podcast 15 different times when I've been in Endless Summer.
That's enough to send anyone to sleep. And
that's kind of what I was going to say. Remember, I'm a preacher, so I put lots of people to sleep, so I totally am acceptable of that. There's a lot more noise factor because Aventura is closer to the road.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different factors. And so I want to be clear about that.
Cool.
Just to be fair.
Yes.
Cool.
I take plenty of earplugs everywhere. So
right. Well, we did a good job at wrangling this in an hour.
We did?
No, we didn't. It's like an hour and a half.
I have a couple things to add on at the end.
Go on then, just quick. Go.
Okay, real quick. One, you talked about recently about mobile ordering at Voodoo Donut.
Yes.
I tested mobile ordering at Voodoo Donut 4 times this year.
It was terrible.
I've only been successful twice.
Yep.
and they've charged me 2 other times that I've had to go back and get it done. I would not say that it's a great system at Voodoo. So that I can be fair to my friends at Universal Orlando Vegans, the Beyond Burger Shepherd's Pie, which I thought was great at Finnegan's, no longer exists. It's been gone for a little while. It's been replaced by a vegan Wellington, which I've not had, but I heard it's pretty good. But I missed the Beyond. I thought the Beyond Burger shepherd's pie was better than the regular shepherd's pie at Finnegan's.
They did message me, and I edited all those things out.
I'm aware of that.
I took them all out, but no, that's fine. Like, I'd rather people did that so we can be relevant.
But then I communicated to one of them. I said, "Oh, ironically, I'm going on their podcast. I think I can take care of it for you." Then the last thing, and I talk about this all the time. I wrote this a while back. The pineapple Dole Whip at Universal is the same Dole Whip, it's a standard pineapple Dole Whip that's at Disney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what Kelly said.
The difference is at Disney is it costs way more.
Yeah.
And there are way more flavors. Universal does not offer all those flavors.
That's fine. Who wants anything other than pineapple anyway?
Right. And with an annual pass discount, a Dole Whip at Universal Orlando is $3.40.
Wow.
It's very rude not to then.
Yeah, but they don't do the float, do they? That's what you want. The pineapple Dole float from Aloha Isle is amazing.
Yeah, but the thing is, you just leave it in the Florida sunshine for long enough, it melts enough
that's true.
that you get a float.
And I do want to emphasize again, you can message me, we can check back. When the pass holder appreciation food stuff comes out, let me know, because I'm getting stories of what it's probably going to be.
Okay.
Some of them are going to be a little scary, and some of them are going to be exactly what they were last year.
Right.
Oh, scary. That's intriguing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by scary.
Well, last year the scary was like the volcano burger at Margaritaville.
Okay.
And
I have no desire to ever set foot in Margaritaville again.
Well, that's why I didn't want to mention it right off the top, but yeah, so that kind of thing.
Okay.
I've been to Margaritaville twice. It does nothing for me.
If you need to feed a bunch of teenagers, the volcano nachos is the most cost-effective way.
To be fair, those nachos are fantastic.
Defeated us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are amazing. Right. I'm so excited to go back and eat. Hopefully my appetite will go with me this time.
Yeah, I'm afraid we're going to hear more stories because since, I guess I can say this in the podcast, since I probably will be there towards the end of one of your trips, I'm concerned that you're going to be worn out and have no appetite by the time I see you.
We shall see. We shall see.
Well, I'm not being led by your appetite this time.
No, I don't expect you to be.
Okay, yeah. Tracy, you message me, and when I get there, we'll make sure we figure this out.
Yes. That sounds like a plan to me.
Right. And everyone listening, this isn't, obviously we've kind of been planning our food trip, but hopefully you guys have sort of heard of some places that you maybe weren't on your list that you maybe think, you know what, now maybe I want to check them out. Right, John, before we wrap up, of course, please let everyone know where they can keep up on your musings on the internet.
Well, as I always say, as a gray-haired, past middle-aged white guy, I spend way too much time on Twitter, way too much time. I've even made fun of my blog lately. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on my Twitter handle at Pastor, Pastor, because that is what I do for a real job. Jon, spelled Jon with no H, because H's are ooh, Self on Twitter. And so you can find that. And then I write for most of the Universal stuff is at piratesandprincesses.net. I write for Universal Food Blog for our friend Xavier. And then if you need to, speaking of 32 Donuts, that's where that came from.
Okay.
You can find that article on his site. And if you need to venture over to the other place, you can find me at mousedining.com.
Cool. And that is going to wrap up another episode of the podcast. And we're going to wrap it up, as we always do, with a Universal Is. And as our guest, I have asked Jon to come up with this one. Jon, do you have your Universal Is?
Well, this is wonderful because we're going to see that I totally forgot, but I've got it.
Okay, right.
I literally came up with it as the time you were speaking.
Awesome. So, of course, like everyone else, if you want to get involved wrapping up the podcast, all you got to do is let us know what you think Universal is in 3 words or less, and send them to us at our email at podcast@uuopodcast.com, or DM, social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. You can even message me if we're friends on Facebook. But for episode 515, John, it is over to you.
Universal is my personal sanctuary.
See you next week, everyone.
That was another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast, the best and only podcast about Universal Orlando on the island. Check us out on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcasts, news, and articles, check out our blog at UUOpodcast.com. Send us your questions, comments, and listener debate submissions to podcast@UUOpodcast.com. Join the Producers Club by emailing us at UUOPproducers@gmail.com. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo, for all your other theme park news. So until next time, this is Amity 6. Call off the Marines. We're coming home.